Hi everyone, this is Ahmed Al Kiremli and welcome to Be Efficient TV. The mission of this web TV show is to boost the efficiency of your business and life through tips and tricks from leading experts. And today I have with me Dan Moskel. He is an expert in self-publishing. He wrote more than 8 books and he's an expert in SEO, content marketing and affiliate marketing. Welcome to the show, Dan. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Ahmed. And marhaban. تصرفت بمعرفتك.
مرحبا تشرفت بمعرفتك. Thank you. شكرا جزيلا. My pleasure. Can you tell us how did you decide to be an author?
Well, it comes back to writing a book is a great piece of marketing. It's a way to make yourself and your business more attractive to the perfect ideal customers and to earn the most money from your work. Because when you have the best in the world, as your city of Dubai does with many things, you have the best service, you have the best products, you have the best people, so you can charge the best prices and earn the best profits. That is business, commerce. It brings a smile to my face.
So authority mainly.
Authority, credibility, expertise. Marketing really in kind of a big picture sense, it is very similar to building some of the big skyscrapers. And, a book is just a piece of your whole marketing plan. And it's one of the essential pieces.
But how did you get into the marketing world? What is your background before that? And tell us more about your brain surgery story and what did you learn from it?
Well, marketing, I think it starts with a desire. I want some more money. I want something better for my life. Money is one of the ways that we assign value to other people, to other markets, to other places. And just with a brief glimpse into Dubai and I haven't learned much, but I don't think I'll ever learn enough. You have some of the most productive people, and I would even argue some of the most valuable. The population is a little over 2 million, is that correct?
Yeah, and we have more than 200 different nationalities. Have you been in Dubai before or no?
Not yet.
Oh, you should be. It's a great city. It's gonna be, I always say that, and since 8 years maybe I'm saying that, it's gonna be number 1 in the world in all rankings. And they are working now on the rankings of everything, infrastructure, well-being, everything. And they are improving year after year. The leadership here is great, the people are great. And what is great about them, that they accept others, they accept strangers. And now the strangers population here is maybe 95 or 90% of the population. So you as a stranger, you don't feel stranger because everybody is stranger and you feel that it's your hometown. So here I feel home.
I think that's one of the things that attracted the wealth to America is we were, over history, we've been very accepting, come to us, all groups, all nationalities, all religions, races, and clearly it's evidence.
It's amazing.
By Dubai. So come to us.
So why should I be an author and write a book?
Well, credibility, expertise, it's a big piece of marketing, and I did a little bit of research to learn about you, Ahmed, and the Iraqi Touch, your restaurant chain, and the Games Corner. So you write a book. One of the first things I would encourage you to do, give that away or sell it in your stores, but I can work with Ahmed, I can be a franchise owner, and I can be part of Iraqi Touch. Am I saying that correctly? Is it Iraqi Touch? You have a lot more credibility, a lot more expertise, and I'm not saying that you don't already, but having also written a book, that might be that one extra little thing that convinces me, yes, let me buy in and be a franchise owner. This gentleman Ahmed knows what he's talking about. He's a smart guy. That's who I want to do business with.
I'm writing actually a book since more than a year now called the transition from employee to efficient or automated. I didn't choose the right word till now. Entrepreneur. But it's not about franchising. I talk about it, franchising a little bit in it, but it's not mainly about franchising. But I get what you mean, and you are right. So how, like, I want to go with you through the steps, step by step, about writing a book to teach the audience how to go through this step. How to start writing a book, how to gather the ideas, how to choose the subject.
And it is very similar to a lot of things. You know, it really is fundamentals and basics. And I assume same is true with your restaurant. But you build a building, and one of the biggest things is to keep it simple and unique, as I heard one gentleman say about your 7-star hotel in Dubai. But we keep it simple and we keep it unique. And they came up with a blueprint and a plan before they ever did anything when it comes to the building or building the islands, the palm tree of islands. And that is also true with writing a book. You know, let's go ahead and come up with a plan. Let's come up with what is it that we're wanting to share, you know, employee to entrepreneur. Part of that is, like you said in your TED Talk, it's learning. You know, learning is the key. It is the big key to everything. And one of the best places to learn is from the people you're talking to, from the people you're communicating with, from the people you're selling to, and from the people that have done it well in the past. So the first place, I guess, with a book, your idea. So you have your idea. Now, what are some of the things in your target market, your target audience, the target reader, I imagine would be an employee, correct?
Employee or the entrepreneurs who should be more efficient, like, because most of the employees, they do the mistake of when they shift to be an entrepreneurs, they create another job for themselves and they trap themselves in more working hours. So my idea that I'm selling, that the entrepreneurs should automate their life, should be more efficient to automate the business that works without them as a passive income.
Absolutely. Well, you look through history and it was using other people to help with, you know, it's the same idea with automation. And you had mentioned, expressed an interest, you know, a book, YouTube videos, email marketing, all this stuff's just media. The real idea boils down again to those fundamentals of, one, I want you to come to my business. I want you to come and spend some more money with me, invest some more money, because we have the best. It's a lot bigger, you know, it is a big part of stepping back and looking at things from a little bit bigger perspective and a little bit bigger picture. I heard one of the builders in Dubai say, you know, we want to build an icon. So where are some of the places that have built icons? What did they do? They kept it simple and unique. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent here.
But like, don't you think that it became so crowded that everybody wants to be an author, everybody wants to write a book, to be credible, and it's became like crazy?
Competition?
Like I think in the last 10 years, the number of authors have doubled. I don't know how many fold.
I'm in 100% agreement. The competition is where the money is. You know, where everybody else is working and looking to. And one of the services and industries that I got started in with online marketing was the financial services, which from a little bit of research, Dubai, big with financial services. And I assume you're familiar with The Richest Man in Babylon, that book?
Yeah, I read it, yeah. But before you decided to become an author, like, what was your background? And you didn't tell us the story of the brain surgery. You are a college dropout. Tell us more about your background.
Well, where to start? You know, you had mentioned just a couple of the things, but my dad's the minister, so I come from a really good foundation. that honesty, having some ethics, like that is so key to everything, whether it be building, but especially selling. Because when you have the best in the world, even if you're selling the services of building, hey, I am the best, and this is why I'm able to, the market's willing to pay me such a high price and such a high premium. But I moved up and down the East Coast here in the States, and ultimately, as you mentioned, I had a brain aneurysm rupture, which, according to the odds and the numbers, it puts a lot of people, that's a very efficient way that people go on to the next life here. And against all odds, I survived that. And one of the real keys with writing your book, and one of the things that I know you're very aware of, your book is a way to teach, and it's also a way to help others in this world. The way we found the man that I will forever say saved my life was one of my dad's his church members read about this surgeon in a book. One of the first surgeons we talked to, he gave me a 60-40 survival rate of surgery. So you survive having a brain aneurysm and then surviving, a surgery, if it goes perfect, 60-40, those aren't the best odds. The surgeon that we ultimately found, because the aneurysm burst again in surgery, it went totally awry. And when I woke up, I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't talk.
How old are you? How old were you when you had it?
12.
Okay, so and you knew about your surgeon through a book.
That's how we discovered him.
Is that one of the reasons that you decided to be an author, or like just a coincidence? Coincidence, yeah.
I want to share what I know and the knowledge that I have, and I want to continue to learn. And one of the ways to share is by, making videos. It's also by writing books. It's also, and that on a bigger picture, comes back around to marketing, rather than go out and chase clients or chase money, let's make ourselves attractive to money. Let's let the money come to us. Let's create a stream of money coming into our city, into our, pockets, into our business.
And you never had a job before, or like when you started working as an employee and you started to shift to marketing?
I've had a number of jobs, and one of the jobs, I heard your dad mention about you picking up reading, and how you hadn't read a Mickey
You
Mouse
researched
book.
me very well.
Barely scratching the surface, my friend. But I heard him mention that you hadn't read a book by Mickey Mouse. I assume that Disney World is one of the places.
No, I didn't. Actually, the story is that I never been reading before. And when I started reading, my father came to me and he said, I'm shocked and I'm really impressed because before I never seen you reading even a story about Mickey Mouse. Because you never know, sometimes you shift, like you never into that and you suddenly shift into different place. Like I never expected in my life that I'm going to be a host for a program. Never. Or never thought that I'm going to be an author. But it's just steps. You go through it and then you never know sometimes where you are going. But when you look back and connect the dots, you feel, wow, how did I arrive here? But this is the journey of life. Like you should keep learning. You never know where you will get.
You see the zigzag path that you took?
Yeah, it's amazing. So now, let's say I chose the idea of the book. How to choose the title and subtitle for the book?
Are you at all familiar in Dubai with the Shark Tank, the television show?
Yeah, I hear about it, yeah. I know it.
So one of the things, I like to compare marketing to some of the sciences. It's about experimenting. What works? What provides results? And with the title, my 9th book here is Online Marketing, the Shark Attack. and it's borrowing what is connecting with people, at least in the States. The Shark Tank has a huge viewership, a huge audience in the States, and the Shark Tank represents money, it represents wealth. You know, Mark Cuban, Damon John, the entrepreneurs that are on there, a lot of Americans, they identify with them, they identify with their story, the struggles, the adversity they faced along the way, Barbara Corcoran. So let me borrow and let me use what's already working. Let me connect with as many people, because this comes back around, and if we have time, you know, copywriting is one of the keys when it comes to selling, because copywriting, you know, it's really selling through the written word, but it applies just the same to video. It applies to television commercials. You know, they are reading scripts, even in Hollywood movies. I mean, it's scripts, it's words that are written down, but everything has a purpose, I guess. And so the title is kind of like your headline for an advertisement. You know, if you can't get someone's interest and their attention, you know, they're not even going to know you exist. One of the things you had expressed an interest in is what's more important, is marketing your book or writing your book. I think they're both equally important, but if I had to say one was more important, it'd be marketing, because you can write the best book in the world, but if people don't know that it's out there, if people don't know that it exists, it's hard for them to go and buy it.
So
and consume your
title
awesome
is very important, because really people judge the book by its cover.
And everything by its cover.
So how to write constantly? How to, writing is very difficult, whether it's blogging or writing a book. How to write constantly? What are the techniques that you're using to write efficiently?
I think it comes down to the basics, you know, the fundamentals. One, learning. You know, you learn, keep reading. And the cool things that you find when you read, borrow them, apply them. Some of the neat ways that people will say things, some of the neat points that they'll make. It's there, and we should borrow it and use it. That's being smart, applying. You know, that goes back to learning, doing it. But writing a lot. Stephen King said, writing is like a muscle. And if you write for an hour and a half a day, and maybe you don't want to write for an hour and a half a day, but the more you do anything, the better you get at it. And his point was, if you write for an hour and a half a day, after 10 years, you're going to be an awesome writer. But we both know that you can't wait 10 years to become an awesome writer. You know, part of that path is taking those zigzags, and you don't even have to be an awesome writer to write a good book. You know, you just have to be effective and efficient with it. And one of the things about books and about business in a big picture is we want to build a relationship with whoever we're selling to, because it's infinitely easier, and there's research and studies behind this, but it's much easier to sell something to someone that has already bought something from us. They know us, they trust us, they have an idea of the service that we'll provide. My bet is that when people leave Dubai, they, just like when people leave Vegas and just like when people leave Disney World, they cannot wait to return. It's the best city in the world. It's the city of gold. I can't wait to visit.
I will come anytime. I will tour you in the city. I'm a good guide in the city. So what is the technique that you're using to write, like yourself?
So our idea is where we start. Your idea is employee to entrepreneur. So what are some of the fundamental things with that? You mentioned learning. That in and of itself should be something that we write about. Learning, always getting better. I heard you say when you're having your successes, you're comfortable, and I'm paraphrasing what you said a little bit, but you get comfortable when you have those failures. That's the best time to learn. That's the best time to try something new, to try something different, to get better. So learning would be a chapter that I would suggest you include. And
We have it, yeah. Learning, action.
And the next step would be to actually kind of first we want to break it down to some of the key points, and we start with kind of a swipe file. What do we know about who we're talking to? You start with who you want to reach before you even come up with the idea, but your target reader, your perfect reader, as you mentioned, would be somebody that's working and also somebody that's newly an entrepreneur that's going through that zigzag path to get the best from their life and from themselves. So this is who we want to talk to. Employee to entrepreneur. Even as a working title, that's awesome. That is awesome, because if I'm an employee...
So the first thing is you structure it. You put the outline for the book.
We build our blueprint.
And then how you write constantly? What do you do yourself when you write your books?
I learn, but also the best part of writing is...
Like you write or you speak, dictate the book? What techniques you use?
I like to dictate the rough draft, that flow of consciousness, but with your rough draft, you want to do that as best as you can, because that will make it more efficient the next steps. It's less time that you have to ultimately invest.
So I've done the same thing. Sorry to interrupt you. Like you dictate you have a structure, you dictate the structure, and then you send it for transcribe it. But this, I've done that with my book, and I'm still wondering next book if I'll do the same or no, because I felt that after I received the transcript, again I have to go and edit again myself, because when you type and read on the screen is a different when you are talking out loud. So I don't know, it comes to my mind that maybe it's faster if you write directly, but it's harder, but you will get better shaped final product, because at the end of the day, even if you dictate and have a transcript, right, it's faster, but again you're gonna do it again, and usually when you edit this transcript it takes you more time than when you write it from scratch. This is what I feel. So I don't know next book what I will do, but this is how I felt. So what do you feel?
I view my hands and typing, my hands are very similar to the brain surgeon's hands, and it's the exact same way. You're absolutely right. Somebody's reading your written words, you should type it for sure. But as you also said, some of these folks may be consuming your book through audio. And one of the early authors here in the States, Anne Brand, I believe it was, said you write the way you talk. Because ultimately we're communicating. We want to communicate some ideas. We want to sell somebody that they can do it. They can go from an employee to an entrepreneur. And these are some of the key steps. These are some of the things you've discovered along your path through your experience.
No, but I agree with you in terms of voice, but I'm not talking about the voice. I'm talking about the method. Like now you still, even second, third, fourth book, you do the same thing, that you dictate. You discover that it's the best. Because I'm telling you that for myself, I don't know next time. Now, because I already 80% in the book, I don't want to change the method. But because you feel that, okay, let's finish it in this way, and then next time I will try something different. But from your experience, you wrote more than a book. You still follow the same.
The only wrong way to write a book is to not write it. So there is no wrong way. As long as you finish,
right,
really, and publish it, that is the most important.
How about the number of pages? Like, I see your books, most of them short. So how many number of pages we should have in the book? What you recommend? Why you are choosing short books? Because I had an idea because I am into efficiency, I'm marketing myself as an efficiency expert mainly, and I am more focused, like I'm an efficiency freak. I had an idea to make a series called In Less Than 50 Pages, where I can co-author with other people, or I can write myself my books for a specific niche, and then the series name it's gonna be in less than 50 pages. I consulted some of the big authors like Brian Tracy. I asked him, some others. They say it's a great idea. Nobody have done it in the industry, but the problem is you'll struggle with the publishers, because the publishers look at the spine of the book. And however, we are now in the self-publishing world. So what do you think? And why you go with short books? Because I thought about going with short books because it's much easier to write it when you're writing like 300 books and you just want to add another chapter and add another chapter, you know. Plus, people also fed up of, you know, when I now listen, I use Audible when I listen to books. I finish like 2 books a week. And instead of reading, I just listen. But the problem is that you feel the authors keep repeating their ideas over and over again in the book. So it's not about length; it's about the value.
I couldn't have said it better myself. It really is. Your book's a message, very similar to a Christian pastor speaking at a church on Sunday morning, or an imam speaking, you know, of all religions. It's a message. So Mark Twain, I'm not sure if, I imagine you guys are familiar, heard of Mark Twain. There's a story I heard about Mark Twain. He wasn't a religious gentleman, but he found himself in a Sunday church service on an Easter. And he heard the pastor speaking, great message, you know, really got his interest, got his attention. He was, you know, you're really helping pass along and share a great message. So he pulled out 4 quarters from his pocket. You know, he wanted to contribute to the church who was helping other people. But the problem came in as the pastor just kept talking and talking and talking. Kind of like you say about these other authors, you know, they keep talking and talking. And that comes back to Hollywood. You know, the biggest sin is to go on too long. It's much better to leave your audience wanting a little bit more, hopefully a whole lot more, but it's a whole lot better to
it's like Transformers 4. Like before 2 days I've seen Transformers 4, and it's so long. It's like 2 hours 40 minutes, and it's I mean, it's still, I mean, it does not make sense. So much technology is great. I write movies. I'm a movies critic. But still, all of them for me very bad, except the first one, because there is a story and you just like, you know, get attached to it. And it's not about just going long over and over to repeat. But they just want to make money. Sometimes when an idea clicks, they keep repeating it and make more parts of it.
Take advantage of it.
So are you with series, or you like to write new titles for each book?
If you don't mind, and please guide me here, but you had asked about kind of the method earlier, just with writing a book, and we had established just you have some chapters, you know, learning, action. One of the things that I've found very helpful and very useful, because when you're writing a book, you've expressed some thoughts about the title, the cover, you know, the message, how long. There's a whole bunch of different pieces, just like building a building. You know, we have to think about a whole bunch of different things, but we do it all one step at a time, one piece at a time. And one of the most useful things that I've discovered is to break it down literally. So if we're writing about action, let's write just this chapter. Let's not think about the title. Let's not think about the cover. Let's not think about anything but what we want to express with this idea, this chapter. What are the real unique and simple ways that we can get this message out and this idea across?
What is the shortest book that you wrote? How many pages? And the longest one?
Well, that brings me back around, because a message, whether it's through written or video, we can make that fit any number of pages. We can include some pictures, we can make the font a little bit bigger, we can adjust the size, and that brings it all the way back around too. If you look at the publishing industry from way back, and especially before a lot of this technology, most books were purchased in the bookstore, in the brick and mortar store. Compared to now, there's at least a whole lot less books being sold that way. There's many books that are being bought online. We have the Kindle, we have audiobook. There's a lot easier ways which we've seen a rise in self-publishing, because it is a lot easier to write a book and publish it and share your message with others. So I think there's a couple things you should at least keep in the back of your head and let it float around. But with that, as far as the length, one of the best books that I've read about everything, though, was That Richest Man in Babylon. Very short book, very easy to read book, but it communicates some simple, fundamental, easy ways, and it does it in a unique way. It really connects with readers. And they've been talking about that book here in the States for probably 100 years. The financial industry has been referencing that, sending it out to their customers. It's what we want to do with any book is make it simple, make it unique, make it as easy for people to connect with as possible, because we want to build a relationship with your readers, with every book's readers. It is about building a relationship with them.
Okay, let's move to the cover. Like, if I am a new author, is it wise to put my picture and I am unknown, or you are not with that? Like, I saw some of your books with pictures, some of your books without picture. Which one worked better?
We're experimenting. And there's a lot of different variables. But I would think that you have some notoriety, some even local fame in Dubai, correct? People know who you are, and is that
but not that much. Yeah, more than maybe the States, or I don't know. But of course, like, I speak here more. But it's not about only Dubai. Like, when I want to write a book, I want to do it, globally. I don't want to think about Dubai. Maybe, yes, you go pitch some publishers here, or like some bookstores, and you be more easier to be here, even if you are self-published. But again, the target is to be global.
Absolutely. And there's a couple things with that, but if you have, and my thing when it comes to sales is you use what's working already, and you use what you have is working for you. So for you, if you have even some local celebrity, and let's think about this just from a big picture, eventually or ideally what you want, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd like to have a publisher and put you in a global, where you can reach people globally, all over the world, because you have a great message. Is that accurate?
We will talk now about publishing and self-publishing, but what I would do, I will try my luck with a publisher when I finish my book and edit it. This is what I'm going to do, like, finish the book, have a great editor, finish the editing, all the copy, and then maybe pitch an agent to pitch a publisher. So are you with and then if I failed, I will go self-publishing. This is my path. How about you? Like, did you go with a publisher, or always you are with a self-publishing path? What you choose usually?
I'm all about action. How can we do it the fastest, get it out there? Because I
see you ship, like, Steve Jobs says, ship, like, you ship fast. I see it from your book, like, you are fast, yeah.
Well, my thought is a publisher, if I go, just talking about myself, if I were to go and to speak to a publisher, if I have 1 million book sales or even 50,000 book sales, that publisher is going to see me as a lot more credible, a lot more of an authority. Hey, this guy already has an audience of people that are interested in what he has. This audience is probably the first people that'll go out and buy his next book that he does with me, a publisher. There's already some wealth and some money and some gold that I can see in this gentleman that's pitching me to work with me,
But is this platform or people or followers, it must be when you self-publish the book and they bought it from you, considered as a platform? Or maybe you have followers, maybe you have a platform from your digital products, not necessarily from the self-published book. But I see what you are saying, that you mean that you go self-publish, create sales from this self-published book, and then you will pitch a publisher, or you never think about publisher, traditional publishing.
Productivity, efficiency. Whoever and any people, and that's one of the things one of my challenges now is how can I incorporate some additional people to help increase my productivity? You know, because the truth is, self-publishing, there is time invested in stuff that your time is infinitely more valuable doing the things that you're good at already and getting better at those things and figuring out, you know, looking for a spelling error on the Nook platform of publishing. But your book is media. You know, the book is media, just like YouTube videos, just like television commercials. I don't know if you guys have direct mail, but one of the ways that things have been sold here in the States is by sending a letter to people, you know, hey, we have this great product, or hey, we have this great charity. Let us ask you for a donation. Let us ask you for what it is we want. But, you know, communicating, and your book, everyone's book should be viewed as media. It's a way to start to build a relationship with someone, and especially if you have a business. And one of the things I was curious to ask you, Ahmed, is how did you discover myself?
I mean, how did I find you?
Yes, sir.
I read one of your books. I listened to it through Audible, and usually all the books that I read, I ask my assistant to pitch the people. But you've been also, I try to add the authors as a friends on Facebook. So you are my friend on Facebook, and so I send you my message for the show. Started that I listened to one of your books on Audible, and then I added you as a friend, and you became a friend, and then I sent you the message. That was the history.
And since you've become aware that I have a few different books, a few different products, a few different services, you know, I'm also I assume you've seen some YouTube videos, just even somewhere along the way, or you've become aware.
No, it's curious how I maybe find you, maybe other people don't, because I never read now actual books. When I used to read actual books, it was taking me 6 months to 1 year to finish one book. Now, if the book is not on Audible, I will never read the book, because I know it will take me so much time. And most of the books still not available on Audible. And because you are on Audible, that's why I got into you. I was like preparing for the show, and I remember the book was about video marketing. So I was usually, when I want to get into any project or thing, I start reading about it and collecting some, you know. I read another title, that how to shoot a video that don't sucks, something like that, and plus your book. So this is a message for all the authors that you must be on Audible, because this is the new media, and we will talk about it now. So that's how I found you, actually. You've been on Audible.
And you make a good point, because if you look at media, even in the States or just through history, the radio was a new invention. The radio connected people like nothing before, you know, instant communication. Then we had television. The internet has revolutionized. I mean, I'm talking to you right now. How cool is that?
You are in New York? Where are you? Where do you live?
I'm in South Carolina.
Okay.
It's about 5 million people. It's on the East Coast. If you ever, please come to the States again if you haven't yet, and I'd be happy to show you around. I want to come to your city first.
We'll come anytime. Definitely, I would love to come to the States.
But you made a really good point there. The way, and I think this is one of the shifts of technology. I think in the sales, as Mark Cuban says, you follow the money. So my audiobooks are doing much better than the print books. And I believe it's in part because there's a whole lot more people that are consuming audio. I saw you say you learn 20% versus 10% when you're reading.
Yeah, when you
I
listen
think you
to
said.
when you listen to information after 2 weeks, you remember 20% of it versus 10% when you read. Yeah.
That's something I'm going to take along.
Yeah, and when you have a dialogue with somebody, you remember, I think, 40 to 60%, and when you take action, you remember 90% when you do things. So this is the curve of learning. So definitely, when you listen, you learn, you remember more than when you read. Plus, you are less tired. You're not using your eyes, example. You're just using your ears. You're not using like your eyes, and you're holding the book. However, people think that it's like, they feel closer to the author, or when they hold the real book in their hands, and it feels different comparing with ebooks. Let's say when you read it on your iPad, when you read it as an actual book. But I think about efficiency. It's about it's not about everybody is learning, but it's about how much you learn within certain period of time and how much action you take on that learning. It's not about many people say that you ask them, what is your favorite book? He says this, and then you will discover, if you dig, that they read only 2 books in their life. So definitely one of the 2 books is gonna be great. But once you read more, you can differentiate which one is really a good book and which one is just a normal book. Yeah. So I want to move to publishing and self-publishing. Like now, what I understood, that you are more focused in self-publishing, and to self-publish my book or any book, for the audience out there, where to start?
Ahmed, for you specifically, I'd like to personally help you get this message out as quickly, and we can talk to some publishers if that would be the path that you would prefer. Let's definitely talk to some publishers.
Well, like actually, I just want to finish. Some people finish a chapter and they start pitching an agent, but I'm not in rush. I just want to write a great book. I want to finish the book, and then even I'm talking to some great editors. I think one of them, the editor of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'm all like still negotiating to finalize the deal to be the editor for the book. We didn't finalize yet. So I want to finish that, and then when I have it ready, then I will start pitching an agent and then publisher. But I would really appreciate your help.
If there's anything I can do, I would really like to be a part of that project, because you have a great message, and your story, the little bit I know and the little bit I've learned, your story could really connect and is a perfect story for especially the American audience. I mean, you couldn't find a better story, I don't think, and I don't know but a little bit about your story.
Yeah, maybe it's interesting because somebody coming from Iraq and trying to teach about this subject, it makes it maybe more interesting. So for self-publishing, like where to start?
Start, as you said, get your book all together. You're happy with it. And here's one thing that a lot of authors struggle with in the beginning, that good enough point. There is a point in time, whether you're Michael Jordan playing basketball, whether you're Michael Jackson, doing a song, you can always make things better, but there is a good enough. You can be good enough to be the best in the world, but you could still be better. But
yeah,
once
but
we
sometimes
hit that
it's very
enough,
difficult to decide that this is enough. So you keep just, especially the first one. The first one is like your first baby. It's even most authors sometimes they don't maybe write the best book the first one, and then they later learn through the process and it becomes more automatic. But the first one has a very special meaning, and you try to perfect the things here and there.
And it is a balance, between good enough, perfect book, and absolutely. John Grisham, his 10th book was, I'm sure, a whole lot better than his first book. Just like Michael Jordan, his last year in the NBA was probably better than his first year. you have that experience and you learn as you go through whatever trade it may be, whatever skills you may have.
However, sometimes the first book sells better. Like if we are talking about Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad sold the best, but still his latest books are much better. But the people stuck with the first one sometimes, or the first message, and because he repeated the message but he improved it later, maybe the people don't give it more attention than the first one. So going with self-publishing, should I go with CreateSpace or Lightning Source or others, and what is the difference?
I use CreateSpace. I like to just keep things as simple as they can be, because my thought is if I spend a whole bunch of time on looking at CreateSpace or Lightning Space or any of the other publishing platforms, it doesn't bring me a good return. Kevin O'Leary on the Shark Tank, the investment banker, I believe he's responsible for setting up that television show, and they took the model from the Canadian version first, the Dragon's Den. I don't know if you're familiar, but he plans his day looking at the ROI. Because time, we can invest two things in life, our money and our time. And time is infinitely more important. With your time, you can figure out you can learn how to make some more money. So my thought is really, how can I get the most of my time? You had mentioned just how do you really get.
So you go with CreateSpace, and CreateSpace allows you to distribute to which platforms, let's say, which ebooks, which just explain to the audience.
And I could be mistaken, but CreateSpace, I believe, is a company that's also owned by Amazon, just like Audible. And what they'll do is you go through and, it's really just putting together a paper for school or any sort of paper. You write your book, that's your paper. All right, now we have to give it a title, we have to create the cover, and CreateSpace will help you with some of these things. Just make it very easy, very simple. And one of the things they'll do is they'll transfer all the information, the book description, because they'll transfer all that over to the Kindle store, the Kindle publishing platform, and which is also part of Amazon. But they really simplify a lot of it.
So it's gonna make it available on Kindle, which is the device launched by Amazon for readers to read ebooks, and it's gonna make it available as paperback or hardcover, and it's gonna help with the print on demand, or how it works.
They help with some of the distribution. They'll make your book, even in the print version, available at barnesandnoble.com. along with some other additional platforms.
They make it available. You don't need to go and apply on, submit the book on Barnes and Nobles. You can select, some platforms where you can make it available. Okay.
The only thing you have to do from the CreateSpace platform is to just click yes, send this over to the Kindle, make this available in additional distribution, traffic avenues, different places such as barnesandnoble.com. It's just one click of a button.
So you selected Barnes and Nobles, or there are some others to select?
They don't say Barnes and Noble specifically, but I believe there's three options, and I believe it's make it available to schools and institutions, make it available to other retailers, and Barnes and Noble is just one of many additional platforms that they make it available at.
But this is if you go just give the full rights to Amazon. Like example, if you selected everything from Amazon to distribute through Barnes and Nobles, can you go again and apply or submit the book on Barnes and Nobles yourself, or you already gave the rights to CreateSpace?
From my understanding, you have the rights. These are still your rights. All we're doing is letting CreateSpace and Amazon publish it, and then they're helping us sell it, because that is good business for them. They earn more money from more sales, but it's also good business. We're earning some money as well as an author. I'm sorry. I think
How much
what
percentage
was your
they
question
take?
again?
My question was like, if you submit the book to Create Space, then you allow them to distribute it to Barnes and Nobles. Can you go after this step and submit the book directly to Barnes and Nobles, or they will say no, you gave the rights to Amazon and they are already pitching us about your book, so you cannot do it twice? That was the question.
You can do it twice, from my understanding. And one of the things that I would encourage you and all authors to do, to make your book available. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but they have a Nook. Barnes and Noble has a Nook. It's the electronic. You will have to go, and all authors would have to do this to make it available on the Nook. You'll have to upload an additional file, but they will take the print version and list that on their website so people can buy that. And you, I believe, will still have all the rights to your work, to your book. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. And also Barnes and Nobles, they make it available as paperback or print on demand, or only on CreateSpace? You have that.
You'll have to make it available for the electronic version for people to buy it on the Nook, or whatever publisher that you ultimately work with. CreateSpace will, and it might not even be CreateSpace, it could be somebody that's in the middle, but they will make it available in the print version. And you had just mentioned the numbers as far as the revenue share. You're going to earn the same amount regardless from CreateSpace. What CreateSpace wants to do is they want to sell as much of your book as they can, because the more you earn, the more they earn.
Yeah, but what is the percentage split? Like 30-70, 40-60, 50-50? How much they take?
You hit it on the head. You can choose 70 or a 30% royalty. And of course, all authors should choose 70%.
But when you choose 70, I think you give them the rights, or I think there is some things when you choose this percentages, you give them maybe the rights. There are some details into that. Because you have done it before.
I would encourage you to, maybe hire somebody who's familiar with the legal terminology if they really want to go through that stuff. But you can take your rights back. You can take your book back from CreateSpace if for some reason in a year or 3 days you didn't want them to have it. You didn't want them to sell your book, for you. That's your work. You can take it back. You're not selling the rights forever to it, or even, and I don't know the full all the details when it comes to the rights. But from my understanding, that is yours 100%. You're just kind of licensing them almost like a franchise. You're saying, hey, you can sell my product. I give you permission to sell and be a salesman for me.
How about the ISBN? What is ISBN? And shall I create it through CreateSpace or through different websites?
CreateSpace, creating it through them, it's the fastest, it's the quickest. ISBN is really just like the UPC of a product. It's just a unique identifier. It's kind of like our fingerprint.
Yeah, like barcode.
Exactly.
I want to ask you about the other platforms for audiobooks to distribute, and what is ACX?
ACX, from my understanding, is, again, a company that's owned by Amazon. And what they'll do is they'll make your book available in Audible. They have something worked out with iTunes, and there's another big platform they work with, but they make your book very similar to CreateSpace, how CreateSpace will put your book at Barnes & Noble's website. ACX is how you create the Audible book, the audio book. But they make your book available with Audible. They make it available at iTunes, and they make it available. I believe a few others, but iTunes and Audible are kind of the big ones.
Is it true that you have to submit a transcript for your book on Amazon before having the audio version, to submit the audio version to Audible?
Yes and no. um, One of the things, if you use ACX to publish your audiobook, that's just where you're going to be uploading the actual tracks, the recorded part of your audio. And one of the little things is you have to actually go and they make it very easy for publishers, because many of them, as you pointed out earlier, there's many self-published authors today, many more than there were in the past. And so make it very easy within the ACX interface, just like Google, how you search in something, they'll pull up, your author, they'll pull your book right up. And so it just makes it a lot easier to go ahead and okay, all I have to do is click, yes, this is my book. That's exactly what it says. This is my book. And then they ask you to upload it. So if you've already done the audio, I would encourage you to publish your book a day or even 3 days earlier in the transcript, so you can grab it and get that audio book out as quick as you can. Because they will go through some quality checks with the audio book, just to make sure that you've recorded in mono files, and there's just little hoops you have to jump through, as with everything, so they will do some checks. And I actually just got a notice here today, that last book that I've written here, the 9th one, Online Marketing, The Shark Attack, should be available in audio and audible.com any day now. They'll send you a little notice when it's been completed and when they've checked the audio, and everything's good, check mark, you can go ahead.
So you submit first the written version to Amazon, and then you submit the audio version, and they link that. Like when you submit the audio version, you can select that it's linked to the written one?
They'll do a lot of that linking for you. They really make it easy, because their goal is just like your goal. How can I get my message out to as many people and reach as many people on a global scale? So they make it very easy. They'll link a lot of that stuff for you and go through a lot of the hoops for you.
Okay. How to use affiliate marketing to market for my book, and which systems or affiliate systems I should use to help me with that?
People. Use other people. I would be thrilled, and I'm going to regardless, but I will be sharing with my followers and people that keep up with me that and I hope you let me know when your book's available, because I'll be one of the first to purchase it, and I'll be purchasing all my family members a copy of it. But use other people. I don't know if you're familiar with Perry Marshall.
Yeah, the Google AdWords guy.
So one of the things he's done, and I work as an affiliate for him. I met him. I've been a longtime student of his, because he's one of the few people that speak the truth. Here's the facts. He makes his book available for affiliates. So if you were to, let's say we haven't had this conversation, but if you were to be a follower of mine, I'd send you an email saying, hey, Ahmed, you can grab Perry's book. You can buy it here. He's cut out a deal with me to offer it to you for only $7. Or you can go over to Amazon and buy it for $17. It's totally up to you. But that is one way that'll give you a little bit more control. You'll have access, and you'll get that contact information of the people that have bought your book. Which system you use for affiliate? You're talking more about referrals, but for affiliate specifically, do you use any system that when you send the link, the people will get a commission if they will market for your book? As far as the software to track all that stuff? I'm not familiar enough. There's a lot of them out there. Infusionsoft, I know, offers that. They're also a platform that'll manage your email marketing. There's many under the sun. I can't
No worries.
knowledgeably advise you one way or the other
Our,
there.
our show is about efficiency. Can you take us through your typical working day?
Planned, like Kevin O'Leary, return on investment. And as an author or writing anything or doing anything, you have to set some deadlines, some milestones. And that's one of the ways to find that good enough point.
So when you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing that you do?
Smile, say thank you. Really,
I mean, you start writing first, you check your emails.
I'm all about return on investment, as I mentioned here. Email, I do not check, not personal. I don't accept any incoming phone calls. The only phone calls, the only communications I make are either at my convenience or pre-planned, scheduled. I work with a few clients and I schedule the next time we'll talk is this day during this time, because we have to be efficient with our time. It's an investment.
Saying no, it's one of the best, advices is just to say no for many things and select the things that you feel that it's going to add value to you or you add value through them to the people. So how about what are the main three things that you consider them as the main factors of success if you give me 3 words?
Learning is key.
This is the 3 words. Learning is key.
If there were 3 words I could pass along to anybody, friends, family, the big secret to success, and even just one word, would be learning. And then the next word would be doing, which is part of learning. You really said it phenomenally in your speech with the TED Talk. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you. What are the best 3 apps that you use on your smartphone?
I don't use a smartphone. Many of the people in America, they run around and they have that thing attached to their hip. They'll take it into the restroom with them. They'll take it everywhere they go. And where I see a lot of people doing something, I want to do the opposite. I don't believe
it's like we are reaching to a stage sometimes to quit. If you quit some of the technology, you are more efficient because it's becoming so much noise around. What are the 3 favorite books?
All the questions are awesome, but maybe I can say my 3 favorite authors, or
I would like you to
Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn, I believe, is one of the best personal development. And I'm not sure if you're familiar. He gave birth to Tony Robbins and learned from Earl Schoaf. So Jim Rohn, and then there has to be religion comes into play at some place, whether it's Gandhi's words with question everything, or you're looking at some of Jesus's sayings or Muhammad's. I mean, religion is an important factor in spiritual learning and spiritual teaching, and that helps so many people. My parents, I'm the fourth child, and their 3rd daughter passed away with leukemia. And you think about, everybody has different challenges and different things and different adversity they have to overcome. But I can't help but think about, as a parent, we just lost our 3rd daughter, our 3rd child passed away, and then your 4th son has a brain aneurysm, and the surgeon told my parents we were this close to losing him. I was on the surgery table, and that's a real challenge. So God, and the hope that anybody's God brings to somebody's life, is really an important piece of the puzzle, I believe.
What are the things that makes you really happy?
Talking to you, sharing knowledge with others, but that also applies to family. I mean, it is one of the coolest things is to read with my 3-year-old nephew. you know. And one of the things that I'll be passing along to him is you'll learn better. My sweet nephew Beckett's his name, but listening is twice as effective as reading. And he's listening to me when I read to him, but I think that's an important key and a good piece that everybody should be aware of. You know, this is how you can more efficiently learn, is by listening. Something that I've learned.
Last question, how people can contact you?
I can give my phone number is 803-422-5795. My email is dmoskel and then @gmail. And they can contact me by visiting the website, danmoskeluniversity.com, email, and then of course on YouTube, or just like you did on Facebook.
Thank you so much, Dan, for your great information and your time. Really appreciate it, Dan.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone. Be efficient and stay efficient, and see you soon with another leading expert.